And a lot of the times our misconceptions are not necessarily correct. So yesterday we had a brilliant show with Brother Arif from Help the Homeless, and he gave us a lot of insights into the homeless population and the lives of the people that he helps, and battled a lot of misconceptions that we may have about people in those situations. And today now we have a new guest, alhamdulillah. Do you want to introduce yourself, Nilzam?
My name is Nilzam Farouk, and I work at Moat Community College, and I'm a mum of 3.
MashaAllah. So a teacher, well, working in the educational sector, and also a mum. Do you say you work at Moat?
I do. I work at Moat Community College.
Works at Moat Community College, a college that many people here know, alhamdulillah. So, Nilzam, it's really great to have you. And have you joining us, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, we're going to have around a half an hour show. We're going to talk, so as you can probably tell now by listening into this show, we're going to talk a lot about people that work in the educational sector. And this is a sector where there are a lot of misconceptions and a lot of ideas that people have about people that are working in the sector, whether it's teachers, head teachers, or assistant head teachers, as we have here, alhamdulillah. We have a lot of misconceptions in these areas about people working here. So we want to work through some of these misconceptions today and get some of the thoughts directly from Nilzam. So my aim really, Nilzam, with this show is that by the end of the half an hour, inshallah, people will have a new appreciation and a new understanding of what goes into your role and your profession. Really, we just want people to understand, and we hope that the children listening in also get a new respect and appreciation for the people that are teaching them, inshallah. So one of the first misconceptions, we'll just get straight into it, that we have is a lot of people say teachers get a lot of time off, because you start at 9, you finish at 3 when school finishes, and you get really long summer holidays, and you get holidays off with the kids all the time. So you get one of these misconceptions that people have, that the job's not really that hard, you have a lot of free time.
I totally disagree. I'm not a teacher myself, but I work quite closely with the teachers, and I could say hand on heart that teachers have got it very tough. They're teaching 6 lessons a day, they're planning those lessons, they have to mark those books, provide feedback so that children know how to do well and how to progress further. And in between all that, they've got other things that have to happen whilst they're at home. So it's not just coming in at 8:30 teaching and then going home and not think about it. It's not that,
So say, for example, when school finishes at 3 o'clock and the gates close, it doesn't mean that the teachers are all going home, does it?
No. You'll find that some teachers are still there contacting parents. Maybe there's been an incident with a child, they're dealing with that. Sometimes they don't even go home till 4 o'clock. I work in the support sector, so I'm assistant head of year at Moat Community College. And I don't leave till 3:30, 20 to 4. On a bad day, I could be at school till 4:30, 5 o'clock. When an incident happens, you've just got to deal with it. You can't just put it to bed and think, I'll pick it up in the morning. Because you're dealing with children end of the day, they're your first priority. So it's not like I come home at 3:30 and I don't think about anything, especially with the pandemic, working from home. Children, everyone knows where Moat Community College is situated. It's in a deprived area of Highfields. The kind of children we get there, you think about the area they're living in. Being in COVID situation, they were stuck at home. So we had to deal with a lot of mental health issues as well, checking our emails. I know I did, check my emails during weekends, during all the breaks that I got, after 6 p.m., just to make sure that there's certain children we were keeping an eye on, that they were well, they were okay. I went through whole October break, Christmas break, February break, without not having a break, because I was checking up on my children, on the kids who were quite vulnerable at that time, So it's not like we just switch off. There's things that do happen, and the holidays, I think we do deserve it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah, no
because
doubt.
our jobs are mentally draining, emotionally draining, So it's physically draining, but, when you work somewhere else, no disrespect to anyone, but when you work in somewhere like Asda or somewhere like Tesco, you might do your job, come home and not think about your shift. Our job is not like that. We come home and we still think about what we could do, what needs to be done. We've got this worry, we've got this kid, how can I help this child? So we never switch off. So,
So there's a misconception number 1, that the working hours are really short, that when you shut the gates to school and you pick your kids up at 3 o'clock, the teachers are just relaxing and ready to make their way home. There's a lot of things that have to go on behind the scenes, as with anything. Exactly. When you turn up to events for a charity, for example, come and enjoy yourself, and then you think you've left and everything's sorted, but there's like another 5 hours of cleaning and the preparation that goes into before that. So there's the misconception number 1. And then you mentioned about the holidays. So you said you didn't get didn't really get to take the break off. So what kind of stuff pops up during the holidays when everyone thinks, oh, it's so great to be a teacher. Your kids are at home, you're at home.
Yeah.
Like you said, it does not always end up being a break.
It wasn't always like that. I mean, in October break and Christmas break, I had two vulnerable students who were quite high risk with mental health, especially with mental health being so big during the pandemic, you know. It was never mentioned when I was at school. Clearly, it's very out there right now. And, you know, like feeling very, very vulnerable, very low, where you just think, what are they going to do? And being on the other side of your emails where they know they can reach out to you meant that they felt quite comfortable. But I had to give up my holidays doing that. You know, but I didn't mind, alhamdulillah, I didn't mind because I am that's why I am in this sector, because I really want to help the children. I love my job. Yeah. I love the kids I work with, you know, and I want to give it my all when I'm with them. So, I mean, I'll give you an example of this one case that I worked with, obviously not going to mention any names, but very, very vulnerable girl, eating disorder, not getting on well with parents not understanding why she's not eating, mental health issues. So she obviously disclosed all these issues to us. We've got protocols to follow as a school, which we followed, but keeping in contact with her during October break, Christmas break, February break, and Easter break meant that when I've come home now this summer, because of the support and the help we've given her, and obviously recommending her to outside agencies as well, when we were discussing this particular student on the last week of school, we all felt at ease that actually the 6 weeks break, we could leave her on her own and not worry about she's going to do anything to hurt herself maybe. And I could feel at ease enjoying my holidays, thinking that I've got a child who's quite safe and secure in her home. You know, so all those, if that contact didn't happen during my break, I don't think we would be with this child where we were now, you know. So alhamdulillah.
No, alhamdulillah. So definitely a lot more going into this than what many people think. So the holidays, when it's summertime, when it's Christmas, when it's Easter, teachers are not necessarily just getting all that time off at home with their kids. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It might be spent marking for teachers.
Yes, definitely.
So many different things that happen during those holidays. So we hear a lot of comments and I actually used to be one of those people. I used to just say, you know, oh, it must be so good to be a teacher. You get all the holidays off.
Don't worry, my husband says the same thing.
My sister-in-law is a teacher and her husband's a teacher, and I've got to see a bit more on the other side of it. While everyone was enjoying time off during the furloughs and everything, he was working through that, doing the marking and stuff. So
for teachers at that time as well, with the whole online teaching, it was new to everyone. And, you know, and were having live lessons at school.
I can imagine it's a bit difficult because as a teacher, it's new for you, but you're the one that's expected to know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And that can be a tricky situation
so we had, live lessons going on. So then behind the scenes, it's monitoring that why isn't that child logged on? So you ring home. Why haven't you logged on to your lessons? You need to log on to your lessons. So all checking up every 6 lessons, you know, and think about it, there's 30 kids per lesson.
Yeah, so it's so difficult. So there you go. Not all as much free time as you think, not all the holidays that you think people have. So there's another one that I come across, and I think this is more what students might say. So that teachers don't listen to what students have to say, and they don't really care about how a student might want to do things or want to tailor things to that approach. But in your experience from the teachers you work with and stuff, how true or untrue do you think that is?
I think if you go to Moat Community College, I think if you interviewed the students at Moat Community College, they will tell you that our teachers are fantastic. They listen, they care, and I've got a child who goes to Beecham, and the support level he gets and the support level our children get at Moat is completely different. They do listen, they do care, they are open to feedback. And I think it's how the children approach the matter as well. You know, sometimes the children think that because of the society we live in, because the expectation is that they get everything they want so instantly. You know, if that doesn't happen, they think they're not getting their way. But there are ways of dealing with situations. Some things happen very quickly. Some things take time, and you know, it's understanding that. I think our teachers are very, very good.
I would say as well, I think obviously people might not think people have listened because things don't always change, but it doesn't mean necessarily that teachers not paid attention to what's happened or what your feelings or your thoughts were. People go back and reflect on these things, I'm guessing, even if they...
Of course we do. We discuss it. You know, when good ideas come to us, or if a student has raised a concern, of course we discuss it. And we have to bear in mind that, you know, these changes can't happen over time. They take time. There's so many other... If someone comes in and says, make this change, you've got to look at everything surrounding it before all the changes take place. So these things take time. You know, it's being patient.
Yeah, nothing happens quickly. So moving on to the next one. one of the next misconceptions, I guess, that we had is when it comes to teachers as people. So again, more targeted to the students and children that are listening in. So a lot of people growing up, going to school, sitting in class, the teacher might be a little bit strict, want you to do your work. So people have the conception that teachers, they hate fun. Teachers don't want to have fun. Teachers don't want to enjoy themselves. They just like to be machines that work. And I think a lot of people listening to this who might be teenagers in school now probably think a lot of these things about their teachers. They don't see a teacher outside of the school. They just see this is what this person is. So obviously, you know a lot of teachers. I'm sure a lot of them are your friends. I'm sure you yourself as well. So do teachers like to have fun?
Of course, we like to have fun. You know, I know I've got a bunch of friends at you know, we always having fun. I think what we have to also understand from a teacher's point of view, they are under a lot of pressure to bring these grades in. You know, and unfortunately, we work in a setting where we've got to bring these figures in. And I think those grades are so important to bring in, so it benefits the child. Then they are able to leave with good GCSE grades in order to do their A-levels or whatever it is they may choose to do. So you have to understand that the teachers are under a lot of pressure to bring these grades in as well. So when it comes to assessment time or mock exam time or exam time, you know, you will find that it's quite military-based, where we're revising. But then end of term, you know, last week, I think everyone's quite relaxed, everyone's quite happy because all the assessments are done, and then fun does happen.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Fun does take place.
People, we know teachers outside of that. Once you grow older and you start to know people that are teachers, and you start realizing, wait, my brother's a teacher, this person's a teacher. Teachers are just normal people, normal human beings. They have their own interests. Maybe they like football, maybe they don't. Maybe they play games, maybe they don't.
You know, I mean, we regularly meet for lunches at school.
Yeah.
We'll have a laugh. You know, we go out for meals. You know, so yes, we are just like normal human beings.
There you go, alhamdulillah. So teachers are just people. It's not one of those my parents are aliens kind of things. Teachers are people, just normal people living normal lives and enjoying normal things. But obviously in a classroom, like you said, the pressure's on them. They're the ones that have to deliver, make sure that you reach certain places. So it kind of draws me into another aspect that I think maybe is underappreciated. So many jobs are jobs. People do the job because it's a job. You make money from the job. But when it comes to teachers, again, your insight and opinion, what is it that motivates people to wake up in the morning and take a job like that? Because as you said, it comes with so many added pressures. There's so much extra time that you may have to put in for different things. So why do many teachers teach? What is the reason? What's their motivation?
I think in order to be in this sector, in education setting, regardless whether you're a teacher or in my role, which is pastoral support, I think you've got to be in it for the kids. If you don't enjoy being around kids, I think you're in the wrong profession, because there's doing your job, but then there's enjoying it as well. And I think you'll find that people that do go in this profession, it is because they enjoy it. The reward that comes after it when the kids come on results day, you know, and there's a big smile on their face and they thank you, I think it's really rewarding. Or when you've helped a child who's quite vulnerable and then they send you an email to say, I thank you for all your support. You think, you know what, I am in the right job, because you want to make a difference. And I think that's what it's all about. It is about making a difference.
So then I think that's where the kind of misconception comes, where people might think it's just a job they wake up to in the morning, but really, and again, drawing back to the being strict and all of this stuff, it's like when you grow up and you start to realize that all the times my mum told me I can't do this and I can't do that and I wasn't allowed to do things I enjoyed doing, it's because she wanted the best for me.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that people don't appreciate about their teachers until you get to our ages and you start to realize, well, the reason that our teachers said this or said that or when it's simply because they wanted us to do well.
Exactly. I think when you're younger, you just think when everything negative happens, you just think you're being picked on or why can't they listen? But I think that when you're, I mean, I've been in that stage where my mother used to tell me off. You know, you think, why is she always telling me off? But I now feel that I know why she did that. You know, I do what she did with my children, you know.
So from the people you know in your profession, I know of course you yourself, is it a case of, you can't say about everyone, but the majority of teachers, they're there because they want the best for the children. They want to help. They want to help propel these children to brighter futures.
I mean, you'll find that, you know, I've been working at Moat for 14 years now.
Wow, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. So, you know, when you now go into town and then you'll see some of your children who are probably working at Zara's or, I don't know, Kobe's as a part-time job because they're at uni, you feel really proud. At that moment, you do feel like a parent proud moment that, you know, they've they've done really well for themselves. They're at uni, they're working for themselves, you know, and it's quite rewarding when you see that. And I think that's when your parent hat comes in a little bit, where you have that proud moment that, oh, you know, they're doing really well.
Yeah, so it was, you build a connection, and I think that's what I think is part of the difficult job from my view anyway. What must be difficult for teachers is having that care and for children, and a lot of time not being, it's not appreciated necessarily. It's not necessarily appreciated that the children don't always know that you want good for them, and that you want them to do well. So that's one of the difficulties. But coming back to something else, so these are a lot of the misconceptions that people might have about teachers in terms of your role. But yeah, I remember you were mentioning something earlier about the expectations. So there might be also misconceptions about what parents expect a teacher to actually do once they send their child to school.
Exactly.
So you did mention when we were speaking earlier about this expectations that parents have, that is your job as a teacher to make sure the child learns right from wrong. And you had some thoughts on that.
Yes. Actually, you know, from my role, my point of view, I think parents, when you do meet with parents, they have this expectation that I send my child to school, so you should teach them from right and wrong, you know. But actually, that comes from home. Education, schools are a place for educating children. We're here to educate them. Yes,
I'm guessing morality is not on the curriculum.
If a fight happens, of course we're there to guide them and explain that we don't behave in this way when you're upset about something. Of course we're there to guide them because they're children end of the day. But I think a lot of the majority of the work that we get told that we should be doing from parents, I think that should be coming from home. I've got, like I said, I've got 3 children of my own, you know, all very different ages, 23, 21 and 15. And I think a lot of it has to come from home, with when it comes to manners, when it comes to, you know, how much revision your child is doing, or, you know, what are they doing after school. All that comes from home. You can't expect a teacher to sit there and do a revision timetable for them, because they don't know what's happening at home. You know, so I think that is something that we really struggle with, where parents, especially where I work, expect that, oh, you know, tame lok ne keo, you know, any kare, tame tamaru, they'll listen to you. But it's not like that. They should listen to you, you know. We try our best, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So, of course, as a teacher, you try to educate people, but like you said, a lot of that has to start at home. I think it's the same as when you send kids to the madrasa. The madrasa is there to teach them how to read the Quran, how to pray, but the etiquettes of being a Muslim, they have to come from home. They have to come from home. So, the same, whoever's listening, it applies to school as well. So, the teachers are there to make sure that your children learn education, but morality and ethical behavior, etiquette and manners has to come from you at home. And of course, teachers are always there to give a helping hand if you need it. Definitely. So that's some amazing questions. But moving away from misconceptions people might have in that sense, I also want to talk about people that might be aspiring to enter this profession. So they might have certain misconceptions about the difficulties and the challenges before entering the profession. So a lot of people, alhamdulillah, they aspire to become teachers. Like you said, people want to educate the future generation. So some of the misconceptions that people might have is that the job is just really, really hard, and you have to be really, really smart, because to be a teacher, you must have to be super knowledgeable and just know everything.
I don't think so. I think firstly you need the passion and the drive to work with children, because I think anyone can become a teacher if you have those 2 things. You know, if you didn't enjoy it, then I don't think you could become a teacher. I think it's definitely a rewarding job. If you are listening and you're considering it, you should do it, because it is so rewarding. You know, I wouldn't be doing this for 14 years if I didn't enjoy it, you know. Definitely think about it. Of course, it's difficult. Nothing comes easy. You've got to work hard. You know, after hardship comes ease. Yes. You know? But
you don't have to be Einstein, do you? You don't have to know everything about everything. So a lot of teachers specialize just in one topic.
I think when you're in secondary, you've got to specialize in one subject. Well, your degree needs to be 60% of the subject you'd like to teach. Whereas with primary, you could do a degree in education and then go into the primary setting. So if you were really interested in science, say, you would do that as an A-level and then maybe a degree, and then do a PGC route or a teacher training program. And now I think there's so many different routes you could go into through teaching. It's not how it used to be, where you got your degree and then you have to do a PGC and then you got to go into teach and then you teach. You can now do through a training teach first program, skits program. So there are many, many avenues into getting into teaching. And I'd say no matter how old you are, if you really want to go into it, I think you should do it.
That was my next question, actually. So before I go on to the next one, just drawing back to that. So you don't have to be Einstein. You don't have to know E equals MC squared. If you've got a certain topic that you're passionate about, like you said, secondary school, you can specialize in certain topics. So you might know maths and know nothing about science, and that's fine as well. And like you said, if you want to teach primary school, it's just passing the general education degree. You don't have to have like A stars in every subject in order to go into primary school.
I think the requirement is 2-1 in the degree.
So you don't have to have A stars in all of your GCSEs in order to go and become a teacher. So nothing should hold you back if it's something that you want to do. But I wanted to draw back to your personal story, because like you just said, now no matter how old you are, what age you are. So you said you went to university at 27.
I did.
And now you're assistant head of year at Moat.
Exactly.
So you've done very well for yourself, considering then, mashallah. So your story?
Well, actually, I got married very young. I was 17 when I got married, and I had children very young age as well, And then obviously I had to work because I had to work. My children were younger. When I had my third one, when I took maternity break, I thought, I don't want to go into this 9 till 1, 9 till 5 job. I'm going to go work in a school. So when I started working at Moat Community College as a teaching assistant, I thought I really enjoyed this. I think I could really do it further. But alhamdulillah, when I spoke to my husband about it, he said, well, why don't you do it? So obviously I had to do my A-levels again, and then went into university. I did it at Leicester Uni, and I did a 3-year course there, and then I did my top-up at Nottingham Trent University. So when I graduated, I was 33 years old.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
I see, for a lot of people listening will probably be thinking they're 24, 25, 26, and they're too old.
Any age. I think if you've really got the drive to do it, because I think nothing should stop you if you've got the passion for it, And alhamdulillah, I was very lucky. I had a lot of support from my husband, my mother-in-law, alhamdulillah. So I am where I am because of their support. So alhamdulillah, I think don't look at your age. If you are sitting there listening and you're 40 or 50 and you think, I really could be doing this, I think do it.
So that's very inspirational, alhamdulillah. So you don't have to start straight from school to college to university.
Well, I clearly did it
and you didn't. And alhamdulillah, done really well for yourself. So if you're listening and you're a little bit older, but you want to change your profession, or this has inspired you, then it's never too late to
The one thing I will say, when you are in this profession, the good thing about being in this profession is not every day is the same. So alhamdulillah, every day is different.
So I have a lot of sympathy for people in professions like yourself, because I think I'm also in a profession which people misunderstand as well. Working in the charity sector, everybody thinks we should work for free because it's not hard work. But yeah, alhamdulillah. So it's really great to speak to you, Nilzam. Really great to get these insights. I think, alhamdulillah, in the half an hour, we've combated quite a lot of misconceptions that students might have about teachers, misconceptions that parents might have about teachers. And you've also helped people understand that maybe if they're interested in this role, they shouldn't be put off by certain things that they're thinking. So Jazakallah khair for joining us.
Jazakallah for having me.
And it's been really good. And alhamdulillah, you are the head of year at Moat. So really good and privileged to have Nilzam joining us today, inshallah. But Jazakallah khair to everyone who has tuned in. And inshallah, we will be back again next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we will have a special guest all the way from Libya, who is a refugee in the UK, and he will be teaching us a little bit of insight into what life is like for somebody that enters the United Kingdom. And we know there's a lot of misconceptions in this country that you can't be in the UK and be struggling, but a lot of people do. So inshallah, we're going to bring those insights in next week as well. But Jazakallah khair to everyone for listening.